Welcome to Mid-Level Media, everybody, and today I am unboxing and reviewing the 4K edition of Suspiria from Synapse Films. Stay tuned. Alright everybody, so as you can see, this is a gorgeous cover on this release, and this is one that I've been wanting to purchase since it came out, I believe last November. And yeah, this cover is amazing. Of course, you have the iconic kill scene from the beginning of the film, and just the artwork, just the colors used. Like, I absolutely love this cover. And you know, you have the classic, the font of Suspiria right here, Dario Argento at the top. You have the 4K Ultra HD, the 4K Ultra HD Special Features Blu-ray. And let's go ahead and look at this spine right here. You have the classic font, you have the Ultra HD Blu-ray, you have Synapse Films, which did the release for this. And let's go ahead and flip to the back right here. You have Jessica Hopper up there, one of the images from the film. You have a couple other images down here, and if we zoom in, you can see Synapse Films brings their award-winning restoration of Dario Argento's horror masterpiece to 4K Ultra HD. And you zoom in, you have a brief synopsis of the film right here and just details of this 4K release. Down here, if you zoom in right there, and I'm going to leave that for a second so you guys can see it, you have all of these special features and everything that this edition brings. Down here, you have these specs, 4K Ultra HD right there, so you see what you need for everything. And down there, you have the Synapse Films and the runtime of the movie. So let's go ahead and get this out of the slipcover, everybody. All right, and there is no digital code with this release, just in case anybody was wondering. And right here we have the same image. We have the 4K Ultra HD at the top. Let's go ahead and look at the spine. The spine is a little different because you have an image from the film. You have that kind of peacock lamp that was in the room at the end of the film. You have Synapse Films right there, so that's pretty cool that they did a different spine. You usually don't see that. Right there, you have that peacock again right there, the peacock lamp. You have Jessica Harper, that image from the end of the film. Same two images right here, but this one is different from the back of the actual slipcover. And let's go ahead and zoom in. We still have the synopsis, the special feature stuff, but we do have the cast list on here as well. You know, the film is starring Jessica Harper, directed by Dario Argento. But yeah, guys, so let's go ahead and open this bad boy up. And inside, yes, we have some disc art here. We have the Suspiria 4K, and this is that kind of classic poster artwork on this 4K, which I love. Right here, you have a little catalog for Synapse Films. And you have the Blu-ray special features. So one thing to note, guys, is the film does not have a Blu-ray. The actual film is not on the Blu-ray. This is strictly special features, but that's a really cool image to put on the Blu-ray disc. Of course, the climax of the film right there. So, and another cool thing, guys, we actually have reversible cover art. So you flip this over right here, and you have the original poster artwork right there on the cover, which is freaking awesome. So yeah, I love reversible cover art. I'm definitely a sucker for it. So let's go ahead and put this back in there. We'll go ahead and close it up, and we'll get to my review of the film and the special features. So stay tuned, guys. Alright guys, thank you for sticking around for the review portion of this video. So I'm going to go ahead and ask that if you haven't yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for more great content of this type on my channel. I do 4K and Blu-ray reviews. I do unboxings. I do giveaways every now and then as well. I also do my weekly physical media rundown where I let you all know like what's coming in the world of physical media, what's coming out this week, what's coming in the coming months. A lot of interesting stuff I do every Monday on that video. But yeah, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, and also just take a second and just like this video. Go ahead and hit that like button and comment down below just your thoughts in general on the Suspiria, the film, and also the 4K restoration of it. So let's get into it, guys. And you know, this is one that it's quite an intimidating film to review because there's a lot of moving parts that go into this movie. But right off the bat, like I first saw this movie 2 years ago, and it's one of those movies that had been built up and built up for me as this classic horror movie. You have to see it. Like, it's just one of the greatest horror films of all time. It's so incredibly scary. I think it even says on the original poster artwork that it's the scariest last 6 minutes of any movie ever made. So I went into that movie with incredibly high expectations, and to be honest, certain aspects of it did meet it. but I didn't love the movie like I was hoping to. It definitely kind of missed the mark for me in several areas. So it didn't really live up to the hype for me, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But one thing I can say about this movie is the things I noticed from the beginning is the incredible visual artistry that went into this film. Like Dario Argento and just what he brings to it in terms of the colors and the classic kind of giallo aesthetic. It just makes this a cinematic feast for the eyes. Like it is so fantastic visually. It just looks stunning. Just all the colors, man. This movie is a work of art. It's one of the favorite movies on my Instagram page. I love posting like cinematic images for because it's just so fun to explore all the different cinematic images in this film. It's just fantastic visually. And the other thing, guys, is the score. Like Goblin's score, which Goblin scored a lot of Dario Argento movies in the 70s and 80s. This is by far my favorite. And to be honest, this might be my favorite horror score of all time. It beats out The Exorcist and Halloween for me. I love the way there's this childlike innocence in it and wonder. It's just really light and delicate. It kind of plays like a lullaby, but then it just kicks in with this hardcore like boom of like metal and rock, and it just everything that Goblin's known for. And then you have all the sound effects in there with the witch, and it just like reverberates, and I don't know, it plays so well in the film. And to be honest, like the score is kind of a character and as big of a driving force as far as like the story and just the way the movie moves as anything else in the movie. And I absolutely love the score to this film. So, this is definitely, I have seen it. I watched it again last year. And so this would be my third watch of the film. It's definitely grown on me over time. I can say that I like it quite a bit more than I did the first time I watched it. And it's just one of those films that you got to keep watching, and it really just kind of grows on you, and everything that you notice as flaws are kind of they kind of grow into the charms of the movie, like just the certain things, and we'll talk about it a little bit later. But other pros of this movie, I gotta say that just Argento's style just is unlike anybody else. Like I can only compare it to nowadays, like a Tarantino film, like a Martin Scorsese film. Like there's these certain directors, a Nolan film. Certain directors have this very specific style, and I love that whenever you can find that in a director. And Argento, like within the first 5 minutes of an Argento film that's what you're watching. You're watching a Dario Argento film. And he was very well known for like slasher films, giallo, slasher, Italian horror films, kind of in the 70s and 80s. But this one kind of brought that giallo slasher flavor and kind of intertwined it with the supernatural, and making this movie kind of unlike any other film that he's done in that way. And I think it's definitely the visually the best film that he's done, in my opinion. I haven't seen all of his work. I've seen about 6 Argento films, and I like them all to varying degrees. But this one, is definitely up there as one of his best, and if certainly his most iconic film. So yeah, he's a great director and does a great job in this film. Everything about this film, I'm not saying it's the scariest film ever made. I definitely didn't feel that way the first time I watched it. It does kind of linger with you a little bit, and the tones of it's very unsettling. It puts you off balance, just the things that happen within this movie. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely one that it's growing on me, and I'm loving more and more every time I see it. The story is very simplistic. It's basically just this girl that, gets invited to this dance school in Germany, and she's from America. And she basically uncovers throughout the film that the dance school is a front for a witch coven. So it doesn't really make any big strides as far as the story. Like everything moves along kind of very formulaic as far as the story is concerned. But it's just the artistry of it, just the presentation and the tone, and just how he gets there, and how Argento uses these unsettling images to kind of put you off balance throughout the movie. And let's talk about the performances for a little bit, because these performances are kind of, at first glance, like when you first get into the movie, they're kind of laughably bad. They're just bad performances. But one thing to note is that, and Argento did this with a few of his films, like a lot of these actors and actresses are foreign, and they could all be from like different, there could be some Italian people, some Germans, some Spanish people, all that make up the cast. So they're all speaking their native language, and the voices are dubbed over in English. So Jessica Harper, of course, is English, so her performance feels much more natural, and that's why she's probably honestly the best performance of the film. But everyone else is just is very strange and very weird, just the way their voice and cadence kind of carries, and just the things that they do and the way they perform. Just not the best actresses in the movie. But you know, like I said, the flaws of the movie kind of become its charms after repeat viewings, and that's definitely one of the charms of the films. Is just the bad acting and the bad performances. But yeah, like I said, Jessica Harper's definitely the standout there. So I guess as far as a movie, I would probably give this an 8.7 out of 10. It's still not one of my all-time favorites, but it's one that's growing on me over time, and one that I could definitely see watching a couple more times, and it just continues to grow because it has all the bases for being one of my favorite of all time. Just the incredible score and the visuals, like all the pieces are there. It's just missing a few extra things for me. And a lot of it might be nostalgia, the fact that I didn't grow up with this one. I didn't watch it a lot, that I have only just recently watched a couple years. But it's definitely growing on me, and I'm very happy with this 4K release. So let's go ahead and talk about these visuals, guys, because the only thing I have it to compare it to is when I watched it a couple years ago, I watched it on this Korean import Blu-ray. So, and I know Synapse Films did a Blu-ray release a couple of years ago for the 40th anniversary, and now they've upgraded with this 4K. But what I will say is it is head and shoulders above the Korean Blu-ray release, because, and I actually have some images I'm going to go ahead and post in here, just screenshots I took of my TV. But you can notice just at the front of the dance school, the colors are much more vibrant, much deeper and darker. Just the blacks and all that stuff in this movie, it looks great. Like there's some really dark scenes in this film, and everything just pops. But one of the biggest things I noticed, and I'll post this up as well, is when you go into the school, because the wallpaper is all blue, and you notice it's kind of blue like in this Korean release, but in this movie, like it is so bright and vibrant, and it just like overpowers the screen. It's fantastic. Like I thought it looked great. Like I thought it looked great before, but like this just is the definitive way to watch this movie. So as far as the 4K and the visuals, like this looks fantastic. The audio also, guys, this has Dolby Atmos. Fantastic as well, and it just plays so well with that score, that goblin score, you know, when you hear the witch just kind of reverberate around you. Just everything about the audio and the visuals, like just from a technical perspective standpoint, are fantastic in this film. But the last thing, guys, we're going to talk about is these special features. So there is nothing new that comes with this particular release. They took most of the special features from that 40th anniversary edition that came out a couple of years ago, so that was a little disappointing. But to be honest, it's kind of expected because they basically just upgraded their release that they just came out with. So why would they go ahead and film brand new special features when they didn't have to? So that wouldn't make any sense. Now, I didn't watch all of these. There's a couple that I missed, but the one I did watch, I watched the 40 Years of Suspiria, which was really interesting, kind of featurette, just talking about the film, talking about the making of the film, just some really cool stuff in there. And the other one was the Do You Know Anything About Witches, that visual essay, which kind of gives you even more in depth into the film and the thought process behind it, and Argento and how he made the film. So some really interesting stuff. So the other ones I didn't get to watch was Susie in Nazi Germany, the Olga story, with the actress that played Olga. So I didn't really get into those, and I didn't watch it for the commentaries and whatnot. But from what I was seeing, guys, you know, really good special features. There's a lot in here to dig into. So if you haven't gotten the Blu-ray release that came out a couple of years ago, this is probably well worth it for you to get it, and you're getting it in the definitive version as far as 4K. But like I said in the unboxing portion of the video, you don't get the actual Blu-ray version of the film on the Blu-ray disc. You only get the special features, and you get the 4K film version. So overall, guys, as far as just from the technical perspective, the special features, I would give this a 9 out of 10. It would probably be a perfect 10 out of 10 if they actually had some new special features, but because they don't, I'm going to drop it down a little bit and give this a 9 out of 10 for just overall presentation and package. So, but yeah, guys, so Suspiria, it's definitely a classic horror film. It's definitely probably a divisive one, I would say, but the ones that love it really love this film, and I'm just about right in the middle, but I could see myself going in the direction of really loving this film upon repeat viewings, and in years to come, it could be one of those kind of classic heavy rotation horror films that I end up loving. So that does it for my review of the Suspiria 4K release by Synapse Film. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said in the opening, go ahead and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already for more great content. Go ahead and hit that like button and comment down below your thoughts on Suspiria, and we'll see you next time.